next topic, and it's quite a sad topic, because last week we heard the news that Sir David had been murdered, and this, I think, sort of was a shock for the country because it was an MP, but also for the Catholic world as he was a prominent Catholic MP. How did you feel when you heard this news, Father Michael?
Well, I mean, obviously, incredibly sad. It's never good news. It's never good news to learn that somebody's died and to have been killed so horrifically. But it's a sadness in a way with many funerals that we celebrate, is that we learn more about the lives of these people after their death. And it's the same. It was the same with Sir David. It was the sort of outpouring of his life and what he's done over his 4 decades in Parliament was quite extraordinary. And in a way, it's sorry to have only learnt about him since last Friday. But it is. I mean, it's obviously the news is very, very sad, and it's very sad to have lost such a prominent Catholic MP as well for us. Yeah.
I think the interesting thing about it was the fact that we didn't hear about him. I think is one of the things that's a credit to him, because I think it's only when people die that we actually hear the amazing things that he had done. Like, he was a powerful speaker for the pro-life movement. He was also a powerful speaker for Catholic education. I know that people within the Catholic education seeing tweets coming out saying, wow, he was such a powerful advocate for Catholic education. Also, like, a great love that I know you share with him, Father Michael, was his love for animals. And I know that you have a great love for Coco, your dog.
Colo.
Sorry, I always called him Coco for some reason. But he had that love for animals, but also, more importantly, he had that love for people. And each and every person he met, he seems to have changed their lives. And it's really powerful. We're just going to listen to a video now, and it's from the Houses of Parliament. And it's a very powerful video from the MP, an MP in the Houses of Parliament, Mike Kane. And we're just going to sit back and watch this wonderful tribute to Sir David.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As been alluded to, Sir David was a man of deep Catholic faith. The Gospel of John, chapter 10, verse 10, reminds us that the Lord came not just to give life, but to give it in abundance. And David lived his life in abundance, a joyous service both to his constituents and here in this house. We would see him late at night, often in a tuxedo, going from charitable concern to charitable concerns, championing the causes he believed in. He looked good in a tuxedo. No Daniel Craig, but this was no time to die either. My wife reminded me of the time where we went to the beatification in Rome of John Henry Newman just before lockdown. A beautiful service presided over by Pope Francis. We were whisked to the Oratorian College on one of the mountains of Rome overlooking Vatican City, where Prince Charles addressed us brilliantly. And then the royal cavalcade rushed out. Unfortunately, the parliamentarians on the trip were left stranded. The former member for Ealing North, Stephen Pound, the former naval commander, decided to lead the vanguard in a military operation to get us back down to our hotel. Like troglodytes, we entered this cave and ended up in this vast Franciscan monastery. Our party became separated. It was now more like an Ealing comedy under Stephen's leadership. My wife reminded me that I abandoned her and her safety to a lifelong Labour activist, my wife, to 3 Tory MPs getting stuck in a lift, including Basildon Mann, she said, because he was still etched on our 1992 election memory. The other 2 MPs, by the way, were North Dorset and the Fylde Coast, so I will catch Mark and Simon up about what went on in that lift, because my wife said, what an utterly wonderful man. He participated fully in the liturgy of the church. He participated fully in the sacraments of the church. While I have the attention of the front benches, Catholics believe that extreme unction helps guide the soul to God after death. So maybe we could come up with an Amess amendment, no matter where it is, in the care home or at a crime scene, that members, anybody, maybe can receive that sacrament. He believed fundamentally in the social teaching of the church: dignity, solidarity, subsidiarity to the nth degree when it came to Southend, preferential option for the poor and the care for environment. That meant he came with unique views on things such as life, death, Europe, animal protection, sometimes in chime with his party, sometimes in chime with the country, but sometimes not. He channelled the 14th century mystic, the Julian of Norwich. She said, "All things shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well." That's difficult for us all here today. His cheeky catchphrase was, "Don't worry, it will be fine." Not quite Bruce Forsyth, but he was a friend of Bruce Forsyth's and his family. He did not die a martyr, but he died, as has been said, by doing the things he loved, helping constituents. He would have known, the theologian Carl Rayner would have said, that power was a gift from God. That portcullis on the top of our letterheads gives us all that power, whether on the front bench or whether in opposition or whether on the back benches. Let's recommit to Sir David today that we will use that power for the common good. He died on the feast of St. Teresa of Avila, and she said this famously: "Trust God that you are exactly where you are meant to be. May you not forget the infinite possibilities that are born of faith. Many of you use those gifts that you have received and pass on the love that has been given to you." David used those gifts and he passed on that love. So, Sir David, may the choirs of angels come to greet you. May they lead you to paradise. May the Lord enfold you in his mercy. May he grant you eternal life. Eternal rest give to him, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon him. May his soul and the souls of all the faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace.
Andrew Rossendale.
Wow. A real powerful tribute there to Sir David. What is your first reactions to that video?
It's very moving to hear such such Catholic heritage sort of quoted like that. So they mention the Gospels, the saints, and the liturgy of the church like that. It's clear that that others recognised that Sir David's faith and kind of knew it as part of it. I think what struck me in that video there is that he said that Sir David participated fully in the liturgy and in the sacraments, and that he was a champion of the Catholic social teaching, and that put him at odds with the sort of trends of thought and even his own party at times. And it just struck me that that faith is something that's not bolted on onto us as Christians, as Catholics. It's not a part of us, but something that's integrated. It's who we are, not sort of what we do or what we believe. And I think that from just hearing that, it was clear that Sir David's faith, at least, was as part of who he was, rather than something that he did at weekends or as a hobby, and that he could pack away and then go and take his seat in Parliament.
And I think the one thing that really struck me, I watched all of the different tributes to him in the House of Commons, from all people of different sides, people that would have disagreed vehemently with Sir David's positions on lots of different issues. But the one thing they picked up was his joy. And something that, like, just taken from what you said there, was how it's from the sacraments and from that relationship with Jesus taken on from what we have, that joy comes, and that when we go out into the world and we see people, we treat each and every person with that joy, but also with that dignity. And that was the other thing that came across, was that he had time for everyone. Whether you were the Queen or whether you were someone on the street, like, he had time for everyone. And that's what I think made him so much loved to all different people. So like, for me, I think it's seeing that virtue lived out which has inspired me, to be honest. Like, I've been inspired about hearing the stories of Sir David's life and people's experience of him.
There's a lovely quote in Porta Fide, which is Pope Benedict's letter, and it's a quote that has meant a lot to me, as Archbishop Bernard quoted it at my ordination. And he talked about the joy of believing, and then the enthusiasm for communicating the faith. And I think that comes from when we do have a personal relationship with Jesus. There's almost a freedom that we can hold our faith, and we can live it and practice it and share it with others, and live it with a sense of freedom, the freedom of the children of God, I think it says in scriptures. And with that freedom comes joy, because there's nothing that sort of ties us down or holds us back. And I think that begins to make it easier to communicate our faith. There was one interview I saw on the news earlier in the week, and I can't remember which MP it was, but they were talking about his position on marriage, and it sounds as if that Sir David was not, well, only had this time for people and this joy, but also knew how to disagree with people. And to argue with them, which is something that is a really, really great skill to have, is how to have an honest debate. How to disagree with somebody that's respectful, because obviously, you know, our beliefs in the Catholic Church are vehemently contested by so many different agendas. It's unbelievable, but without opening that can of worms completely. But to be able to sort of enter into an honest disagreement and still remain friends. And still remain able to work with each other is a true gift as well. And I think that comes from that sort of lived relationship with the Lord, that lived faith. That it's not something that, you know, we open on a Sunday morning and close again at sort of 5 minutes after Mass, and then go and do our other works. But it's kind of with us, and that sort of, you know, command of the Lord to pray constantly and persistently. I think that does give us that freedom, and from that freedom, the joy that comes with it, because everything we do for the Lord. Yeah.
Praise the Lord. And not only was it MPs, of course, that gave their tributes, but also Cardinal Vincent was very quickly gave his tribute to Sir David, and he said, "I was shocked and saddened to learn of the killing of Sir David while serving his constituents and the country. I pray for the repose of his soul and for his family and constituents who are grieving him. May he rest in peace." He continued with another tweet by saying, "David carried out his vocation as a Catholic in public life with generosity and integrity. He served in Parliament for 4 decades and was respected by all political parties across the House. His untimely death is a great loss." And I think that sort of sums up what his life meant to us, what meant to the people that he knew, and also like right from cardinals to even even other churches and other beliefs have come out and talked about how their relationship and friendship with Sir David, and I think that just shows the man he was. He gave that love to everyone.